Chancellor, Professor the Honorable Sir George Elleen, members of the Cabinet, Vice Chancellor, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal of the Caville Campus, Professor Udine Barito, Lady Aline, members of the Diplomatic Corps, other distinguished members of the Platform Party, graduates, specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I celebrated my 50th birthday last week. And I know for you young people sitting in front of me, that's ancient, right? But for the men sitting behind me, I'm still wet behind the ears. So, it just goes to show you that life is all about perspective, and that's what I want to speak to you in the time allotted to me this evening. Now, understand that millennials have difficulty absorbing a lot. That's not in a soundbite or in a three-letter mnemonic. Now, I'm going to do a conversation right now in three-letter mnemonics so that you can understand. Okay, so are you okay? IDK, SMH, IKR, LOL. Didn't I just do a conversation? It's finished, right? It's over. That's how you guys speak. So I am trying to do this in a way that you will remember what I'm saying and to break it down in as small sound bites as possible. And also to give you in numbers so that you can count down to the time when your torture will come to an end. I also tried to utilize visual aids and props, but it was not to be. I understand the Chancellor is a patient man, but even he has his limits. So in that vein, to borrow a quip that I heard from the Chancellor a few months ago, as Elizabeth Taylor said to her sixth husband, "I won't keep you long." I have 10 main life lessons that I want to leave here with you today, and hopefully you'll recall one of the 10. The first is age is just a number, and I'm not just saying this because I turned 50 and I'm officially over the hill. Actually, maybe, but let's pretend that's not so. Seriously, never limit yourself or determine what you will or will not do by an artificial construct of what is considered age appropriate. Who made up these rules? Martin Luther King died at 39 years old, having revolutionized the United States and through the Black Power movement and other means of peaceful resistance. Moses was 80 when he was called to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. Mahatma Gandhi began his trek when he was in middle age. Mother Teresa lived long and worked till she died. And Jesus Christ died at 33 and revolutionized the world. What I'm saying, therefore, is do not put your life in a box that is based on a number. God calls people when he chooses, irrespective of what the date on your birth certificate says. There is no expiry date on God's calling and purpose for your life. The second point is create your life one thought at a time. Your thoughts are the most powerful weapon in your arsenal that defines your future. Be very deliberate and discriminating about who and what you allow to occupy real estate in your mind. Science has now shown and caught up with something the Bible said a long time ago, that as a man thinketh, so is he. It is now proven that thoughts are actual physical energy that have the capacity to deconstruct and reconstruct the neurons in your brain and change your very DNA. Therefore, if the molecular structure of your brain can be changed, can you imagine the power of your thoughts? Vigilantly guard your thoughts, what you allow others to speak into your life, and the words you yourself use. I think the best encapsulation I've ever heard of that is, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right both times. Your words have power. Thought creates words, words create actions, and actions create the map of your life. Third, be okay with walking alone. All of us are social animals. We're all created to socialize, to seek companionship and partners along life's journey. And it's natural and healthy. Friendships are good, and families are the bedrock on which we build our own identities. But there will come a point in your life, more than once in mine, knowing my trajectory, when if you're being true to your calling and your purpose, you're going to have to reject the comfort of the familiar and the ordinary. You're going to have to chart your own path. You're going to have to run your own race, irrespective of who thinks you're making a mistake or that you've lost your mind. And I've been told that many times. And let me be clear, your greatest opposition is oftentimes going to come from those nearest and dearest to you. Yeah? Those who you trust, those who you go to for advice, those who you go to for succor. And in a way, in fairness to them, they're trying to protect you. But remember this, it is your journey. It is your life to walk. So there's this still small voice in the inner recesses of your soul. Listen to that voice, it is your best guide. And step out and trust God to take you there. Fourth, be thankful. This generation has often been described as what they call the entitlement generation. Everything is immediate, available, and yours by right. And in fairness, in your defense, those of us who are your harshest critics, if we were raised in the last 20 years, we probably would be just as bad or worse. So, I'm not going to stand on a podium and tell you that you guys are not doing as well as you should, because frankly, I think we would have been worse. When I was growing up, there was one channel, JBC, Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation. Sounds familiar? CBC, JBC, same thing. It signed on at 3 p.m. with Sesame Street. Ernie and Bert were roommates. They were not gay at the time, right? It signed off at 12 a.m. with the national flag flying in the wind and the national anthem playing. Now you can pull up 1,000 channels. You have Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, and the entire internet at your disposal. Amidst those kinds of distractions, I can understand how hard it is for you to recognize how many people have invested in your future and made sacrifices for you to be sitting here in your beautiful blue robes today. But it is important to make that recognition. A plethora of individuals, some who you have never met, some who you may never meet, have invested in your future. It is important that you remember this. Your parents, your teachers, your siblings, your friends, your neighbors, the prayer group at your mom's church that you scoff at, yeah, don't worry. They're praying for you anyway. The little old lady who reported you to your mother every time you took a detour from school and you resent her to this day, don't worry, she's good too. And the lady who was selling the cutters and gave you for half price. Those are the people that you remember on your walk through this life, and be grateful. Fifth, pay it forward. I have a real bee in my bonnet about this. Flowing directly from gratitude is the principle that you must give back. Having received, you must also invest in the future of those who follow you. The cycle of life demands that this principle be upheld, that is the basis upon which future generations find success. It is an unfortunate conundrum and I would say cultural phenomenon in the Caribbean, that we bleed our institutions with no looking back and no commitment to re-engagement. I did a quick calculation, and to be honest with you, Chancellor, I was going to actually get some buckets and pass it around, but they told me that you wouldn't like that, so I didn't do it. But I did a quick calculation. $5 from each of you in here today would raise $15,000 by the end of tonight, and there would be 3 scholarships that could be given to deserving students. Do you understand the power of that simple $5? And don't tell me you don't have it, because I know 3/4 of you in here have ordered your iPhone 6S that's coming on October 19th. I know it. My son has ordered it. I know all of you ordered it. $5 is all it would take, and it would change your contribution to your alma mater and begin an endowment that would revolutionize the way that the University of the West Indies is supported. Take $5 off of that iPhone. Put it in a box at the door when you're leaving. 6, success is not a value meal. I came across a proverb recently that says, what you value is what you're willing to earn. When I used to get up at 2 a.m. in the morning to study for A-levels, my mom would get up with me and she would make hot chocolate or some hot beverage. Hi, Mom. And she's at the back. She would also recite a quotation from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And it went like this: heights by great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night. Now, I must admit, when I was trying to memorize King Lear, having Longfellow thrown in the mix can be a bit distracting, but I've never forgotten it. Sustained success takes diligence, sacrifice, hard work, and commitment. Nelson Mandela became president of South Africa after a lifetime of struggle, 27 years in prison, 9 years in solitary confinement. He suffered. So success is not an overnight occurrence, no matter what the 5-second ads may tell you. It's not so. But seventh, relationships matter. I often tell my staff and young people that I mentor that relationships are the basis upon which negotiations can be made or broken. I have seen that the end result of a negotiated text, heralded by ministers and politicians, is built on relationships of trust and respect among the negotiators at the table, more than on the brilliance or erudition of any individual. I've seen countries change positions on hardline issues based on the value that they placed on the relationship with the representative of the opposing party and the mutual respect developed between them. For small countries like us, relationships among negotiators is critical because that is how we do what we do. We don't have a lot going on in terms of trade and in terms of mass, but we have relationships. As you walk through this life, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are. One of the most important marks you will make in this life is on the people who cross your path. Tread carefully and with integrity. Eighth, fail spectacularly. And I know you'll find this odd. I had a revelation just last week that sometimes one of the best things that can happen to you in life is to fail spectacularly. Not one of those minor bumps or hiccups in the road, but an epic failure. You know, one of those that everybody talks about and still comes up in conversations. You won't know it yet, but you might. I say this because when you experience that kind of failure that shakes your very foundations, it's one of the best places to be. Those are called defining moments for friendships, your core beliefs, your identity, and the very essence of who you are. In those times, there is no BBM, no email, no Kicks, no Snapchat, no Twitter, no Instagram, no Facebook, no WhatsApp. Just you and God. And you realize that in that moment, it is enough. And in rising from the ashes, God will show off and take you higher than you've ever imagined. Ninth, I'm bringing it home. Trust God's plan for your life. Most of you are sitting here as graduates because you're clearly bright, determined, focused individuals who have attained several rungs of success in your short lives. So you've made plans, you've charted a course. I'm here to tell you that plans sometimes don't always turn out the way you expected. That's life. I have heard it said that rejection is actually divine redirection. Nice words until you feel the sting of rejection. It sounds good, yeah, divine redirection. Really? I've been rejected. I don't care what they say about divine redirection. But I will say this, there's not one incident of rejection in my life, personal or career-wise, for which I have not turned around and thanked God. Not one. Maybe a few weeks, maybe a few years, but invariably it has always been true. I'll share one experience with you, and the irony, given the occasion, will not be lost on you tonight. I decided I wanted to become a lawyer, as the orator said, when I was 8 years old and my favorite uncle died in a horrific car accident, having just returned as a barrister from England. And I thought that was where I was going with my life, so I was going to go to law school. I was rejected, not once, but twice, from the University of the West Indies Cave Hill Faculty of Law in 1987 and 1988, twice. I thought that was the end of that career path. But God just had a different way of working it out. And had I not been rejected and taken a different route, I do not think I'd be standing here before you today. Because it is the linkages that I made in Geneva and Washington that enabled me to make my contribution to this beloved institution. As a matter of fact, I would be so bold as to suggest that if 13 years ago, the current Vice Chancellor had not been divinely redirected to the Cave Hill campus, this spectacular specimen that you now see, that is the Cave Hill campus that my friends and family are touring daily, would not currently exist. Divine redirection. Don't see it as rejection. Finally, if you take nothing else away today, I need you to take this. Each of you is a uniquely designed, magnificent specimen of God's creation. The God of the universe created you specifically for a specific purpose that only you can fulfill. You, each of you, is significant by virtue of your very existence. And there has never been, and there will never be another you. The God who made every teardrop with a different molecular structure and numbers the grains of sand on the earth made you. If you internalize that in the deepest recesses of your soul, it will revolutionize the way you do life. And this region and the world will never be the same. Graduates, go change your world.